let's talk about utilities. We utilize the following utilities in this guild, and I will talk about a variation very shortly, but this is what we run. For your slot in 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0 are the following. In your healing slot, we use... Let me just cast this so it pops up correctly. Sorry, friends. We use Mantra of Solace. Furthermore, the next 3 skills we use are Stand Your Ground and the 2 consecrations, Purging Flame and Hallowed Ground. And then lastly, we use Mantra of Liberation. So, we'll talk about the mantras separately, 6 and 0, and we'll just talk about Stand Your Ground for now. Stand Your Ground is a very, very powerful skill. It gives 5 stacks of stability, it gives retaliation, and it is also a stun break. In PvE, you might notice it's a 10 target shout. In World vs. World, it is 5 targets. But those 5 targets are your party. They're the ones you're trying to keep alive. They're the ones you need to hit with it. Depending on when you use your Stand Your Ground, is generally up to how the group likes to run. I personally prefer to have Stand Your Ground cast at the commencement of a stealth engage or a bomb or anything like that. Just before you pull your books out, you throw your Stand Your Ground out, then you go into your books. Which, I'll talk about books later. But it's your main, probably first go-to oh shit button, because it's the stun break, it's the stability, it's the retaliation. It does pretty much anything you need when you need to stay on your feet and try and get your guys through the next 3-4 seconds of their life before you can get your other abilities out. The next ability, and these are both the same, they're both consecrations. They both stay on the ground for a significant number of time, but let's talk about Purging Flames first. What this does is, when you cast it on your feet, it makes a fire field. It pulses a bit of burning, but it also pulses Condition Cleanse. During fights, people are going to be accidentally blasting this for might, which is very good. But its main purpose is so that when we're experiencing a large Condi bomb, we throw this either down on our feet or where we're going to. And as we move into it, obviously, it's a 5 target, 8 pulse. And if all 5 targets are in there, 1 condition removed for 8 pulses. It does a lot. There are other things you can take. There is a mantra that does cleanses. If you feel as though you cannot land the Purging Flames correctly, take the cleanse mantra. But otherwise, Purging Flame is more bang from your buck from a single skill. And with the triple support meta, you do not need that frequent a condition cleanse. You can just have it all in one big skill. Following on from that, Hallowed Ground is basically Stand Your Ground in Purging Flames form. You cast it. It doesn't burn like Purging Flames, but it is a 5 target application of stability and retaliation, and it has 10 pulses. So again, when we're in the shit, when we're stopping at the top of a staircase, when we're stopping at the bottom of the staircase, when someone is engaging on us, putting down these 2 consecrations at once means that for the next 5 seconds, you can't get knocked down and you cannot be killed with condis. Unless the other supports are fucking around. But overall, this is the 2 skills we go for when you hear somebody call to just stand our ground and fucking grind them here. If you have both of these down on your feet, you'll be fine. Everything will be okay. Now, moving on to mantras. Mantras are interesting skills. Think of them as... I like to describe them best as a gun. It's like a gun with 3 shots in it. A gun that regenerates its own ammo. You'll notice that when you've pre-casted for the first time, in the top right-hand corner of the skills, of the little skill thing, you'll see a little number. It should say 3. If you cast an ability, you'll notice you'll get a little white outline displaying how long it is until that charge has gone back to 3. You basically have 3 casts of this skill. The first 2 casts are minor versions, but they're the ones you'll use the most, and the last cast of the skill is its major version. However, you never want to use the third cast of your mantras, for one simple reason. If you use all 3 casts of your mantra, you are locked out for 40 seconds, and you will not be able to channel it, and when you do go to channel it, it's a long channel time, and there is a very large chance you will be crowd controlled or interrupted, and there's an even larger chance that you won't be able to get back into your mantra. Furthermore, it is more efficient to just cast your mantra once or twice and then wait for it to recharge, as the recharge is faster than waiting the full duration of the skill to reset. So consider this basically to be a rechargeable 2 times use skill. When you need to use the last charge of your mantra is when absolutely everything is going wrong, as the last charge is usually twice as good, if not 3 times as good, as the other 2. But understand that it is the last case thing you do, as you need to basically win the fight in roughly 20 seconds, or you're going to lose, because you don't have access to your mantras. And that's why we don't use the last charge of mantras. That's the basic TLDR of it. Now, let's talk about one Mantra of Solace first, or when it's fully loaded, it is called this. Restoring Reprieve. Small heal. You'll notice it shoots out in like a 30-degree cone in front of you. That's not for show. That is where the skill affects. If I am standing in this direction and you're all behind me, my mantra will not hit you. You need to be facing your target to hit people with the mantra. Oh, that is true. 180 range, yes, but that is tiny. 180 is like... Oh, I don't even think I've got a skill indicator for that. But regardless, just assume that if you want somebody to be hit, you need to be facing them. Because otherwise, there is...
Small actually the size of it.
Yeah. There is a very large chance it's going to miss, especially with a very, very wriggly composition. If you guys aren't stacking on tag, won't do much. It does a self-heal, but importantly for allies, it gives Aegis. And what does Aegis do? It heals people. Furthermore, Aegis doesn't only just heal people, it also blocks an incoming attack. So if you're very good with your Aegis uptime, you could potentially parry an entire incoming bomb, assuming your combination of skills come out correctly. And thank you for moving that out of my face. Assuming your skills come out correctly, and you just keep reapplying Aegis every time it gets stripped away. On to the other one, the Mantra of Liberation, or as it should be now called, Portent of Freedom. This is probably going to be your main source of minor stability, and minor retaliation, but its main purpose is stability. It's a stun break, so it can get allies out of the shit, and again, it's a mantra, so it shoots out in that weird cone. Yeah. I generally refer to it as small stab, because you've got multiple charges of it. You can throw this out with probably a little bit more... you don't have to be quite as conservative with it as, say, with Stand Your Ground. Because obviously, Stand Your Ground is the big stab. Larger cooldown, more stacks. Portent of Freedom, just 1 stack of stability, but it can be thrown out multiple times. Use this for when you're trying to like run through minor enemy CC, when you think people are about to be pulled, or specifically when you find that people are trapped in an enemy bubble and you don't want to go in there yourself to save them. You can get up to the edge of it and just throw the ranged part of the mantra into the bubble, and it should get them out if they're using their dodge rolls. But overall, use this one as like your main small application of stability. Every time you're feeling a little bit off, every time you think someone's going to get pulled, this is what you should be using. Try not to use your big skills because they are needed for fights. This is what you do when we're... well, literally any other time. Big stab for big fights. Small stab for moving, catching people out, when you think people are going to be pulled from walls, etc., etc. Again, like its counterpart, and emphasizing what I said about using all of its charges, this gives as many stacks as Stand Your Ground with its last charge, plus swiftness. But again, you use all 3 charges, 40 seconds, you don't have access to small stab. And those are the abilities we use. And again, let me just go over them. It is Mantra of Solace for your healing, Stand Your Ground and your 2 consecrations, Purging Flames and Hallowed Ground, and lastly, Mantra of Liberation to round things out. And to go into what Cloudy said, when you hear me call for big stab, I mean either Stand Your Ground or going into something I'm about to get into, but mostly big stab is Stand Your Ground, small stab, Mantra of Liberation. Big stab could also be Hallowed Ground, but I won't ever call for that as big stab. You'll hear me call consecrations, because that's what I'm hoping to just stand where we are and grind them. Other commanders will use other words, but overall, small stab is Mantra, big stab is Stand Your Ground. And to boil it down even further, big stab is just anything that gives you more than 1 stack of stability. Yeah. What Cloudy said, yeah, if it looks like consecrations rely on a lot of you knowing how the fight is going as well. If it looks like we're about to stop anywhere, or a lot of people are going to be pathing through it, that is a good time to use your consecrations. You should always be looking to maximize the amount of pulses you get. Otherwise, we'd be running the Condi Cleanse mantra.
Replenishing.